Tonight I'm sitting on the wood. I'm usually in the pigeon seats, but in Indiana, PA, I can be Spike and lead, doing things a wood boy should, like heckling opposing team. Ask Tim Cook, looking ask Coach, what's Apple launching in Q3? Oh, wood boy.
Good morning, Sweet World, and welcome to the No Dunks podcast on the Athletic Network. It's Friday, January 10th, 2025. This is The Drop. Snow has shut down the city of Atlanta today, so I'm J.E. Skeets here in the yard, along with me, the bearded one, my top shot hot boy, Trey Kirby.
Heyo.
Hey!
Yo!
And making the magic happen, super producer JD.
Hello.
There he is. And last but not least, paying off his pick'em loss for the final day. He's at home, but he's outside. It's Tass Mellis.
What's up, everybody? Yes, it's a little snowy, but I'm excited to celebrate here.
Oh, look at this snow. What are we looking at here, Tass? 2-3 inches this morning here in Atlanta?
Yes, many inches, but it's great to be in a city that's just engulfed in a forest, isn't it? I mean,
That's
it feels kind of nice as you look at a forest behind me here. It's not that cold. I got to be entirely honest. This is just a fun day for kids celebrating down here in the South. They see this and they say, "What is this? I haven't seen this ever."
I like this setup even more. It's a little more, it's a little more welcoming than a garbage can behind you in a door. I like this forest setup.
Yes. Actually, Danielle, my wife, did approve. She said, "This is better than what you had outside."
So, yeah, the snow was pretty crazy this morning for Atlanta. Don't really have the infrastructure to handle removing snow, so quite dangerous to drive. So we've got Tass at home, but this looks fantastic. And we got a fun drop podcast as Tass finishes off his pick and payoff loss. We're going to talk about the second fan returns for All-Star voting. Tass, you got a batch of worst of the week nominees?
Absolutely.
I have a few under-the-radar names to watch maybe at the NBA trade deadline. TK's got 5-star Friday reviews. We got rapid-fire fun. So much more. But first, for the third straight day, we celebrate a wedgie. That's right. We had enough. Last night in Salt Lake City, Lauri Markkanen sticks the three-point wedgie. The most popular type of wedgie, no doubt. And number 20, great camera work there by the Jazz broadcast. So that pace has ticked up over the last couple days. It was like at 45 not long ago. Now we're up to 48, at least on pace. So good stuff there. Okay, let's get into some of the games from last night. Tass, I want to get your opinion on Darius Garland scoring a season-high 40 points as the Cavs beat our Raptors for Cleveland's 12th straight win. No Donovan Mitchell in this game. They're like, you take the night off. We're going to play the Raptors. It's okay. And instead, you had the three other Cavs leaders sort of leveling up. Jared Allen, 18 and 15. Mobley, 21, 11 and 6. And then Garland, like I said, with the season high 40 points. But it was close, and you needed some Garland magic in the fourth.
Yeah, I thought this was actually probably the worst Cavs game of their season, where they relied on one guy. Usually the ball is going everywhere, but they did rely on Darius Garland at the end. Kenny Atkinson after the game said, well, that was a clunker of a game where he wasn't really impressed with the offense, how it wasn't moving around. Darius Garland, who had to put the team on his shoulders to some degree against OKC the night before, did it again with this 40 spot here. And this is just an incredible sign of Darius Garland growing, because last year it just didn't seem like he clicked with Donovan Mitchell all that much. Donovan Mitchell, was the guy, the number one guy, and then they went into the playoffs where he did have a 30-point game against the Boston Celtics, but it just wasn't perfect between those two. And I think he's stepped up to add what seems to be the ingredient for a team that needs a supporting type player for a Donovan Mitchell type in the playoffs, because we all wonder, is this just going to be a team by committee? Will they not be able to get it done when it comes to a big series against the Boston Celtics? And I think this is perfect. Garland was an all-star in 21-22, and he kind of dropped off just a tad bit where things weren't right. This 40 spot makes it feel like he's sort of back to that guy. This is the 5th time he dropped a 40-point game for Cleveland. There aren't many of those guys that have been able to do it 5 times for Cleveland. Braun, obviously, Kyrie, Mitchell, and now Garland. Those are the only 4 guys that have been able to do it 5 times. So it definitely feels like a different team to me as you see these guys, especially Garland and Mobley, performing game to game.
Yeah. TK, I want to know, Cleveland tied for 5th best record in league history through 37 games, right? They're 33-4. And we're going to get to the second fan returns for All-Star voting and all that. We'll talk a little bit about the rosters. But I'm starting to wonder, like, a quarter of the Eastern Conference All-Stars, are they going to be Cleveland Cavaliers with this type of record where we know Mitchell will be there, maybe Garland, maybe Mobley, and maybe even Jared Allen, who's continued now to have 2 great games in a row? I think it's in play, right, when you get into the selections by the coaches.
I think it's definitely in play, and I think Darius Garland is creeping pretty close to getting a guaranteed bid to the All-Star game. Tristan Thompson told The Athletic's Jason Lloyd after the game against the Thunder, the last 10 games, Thompson said, talking about Darius Garland, Jamal Murray, body bag. Golden State, body bag. The Lakers traded D'Lo, so you couldn't give him the smoke. They had LaMelo Ball, body bag. Great stuff from Tristan Thompson talking up his guy. And Garland has been really, really good. The Cavs have figured out how to get him and Mitchell playing well together. Obviously, no Mitchell last night, so Garland can step up and become the number 1 guy. He had an awesome performance. The team you have to compare him to is to the 14-15 Atlanta Hawks, who did have 4 All-Stars. Through 37 games. They were 29-8. Not nearly as good of a record as the Cavs have right now. They also had a smaller lead over, I think it was the Bulls at the 37-game mark. They were maybe like 3 games clear, whereas Cleveland is 6 games, I think, clear of the Celtics right now at the end of the season. Those Hawks had a 7-game lead for the 1 seed, but everybody considered LeBron's Cavs the best team in the East. It's very similar to the Hawks. The Cavs right now, though, are blowing that record out of the water. We're seeing Garland put up these games, had the, kind of like the dagger bucket against the Thunder, a 40-point game in what Kenny Atkinson was calling a trap game afterwards. I don't know if they get 4 All-Stars, but I think 3 is pretty legit. It would be Mitchell, Garland, and Mobley for me. Yes. Allen seems like he's the furthest away, but he was the player of the game against the Thunder, and he pulled out a reverse dunk on a fast break against the Raptors last night, so maybe he's able to elbow his way in as well.
Yeah, what do you think, Tass? I mean, I agree with Trey. I think 3 is a lock at this point. I think it's the 2 guards in Mitchell, Garland. I think Mobley has proved that he belongs. And then it is will Jared Allen be selected? I mean, his timing is great, right? He's leveled up here as we get closer and closer to, obviously, All-Star selections. Do you think he has a chance to be the 4th All-Star there for the Cavs?
He does have a chance. It's up to the coaches who get the ballot and give it to the All-Star coaches and say, let me look at the standings here. Currently 33-4. What a freaking record. If they move up, to somewhere where they have 5 losses, those coaches decide, I want a 4th from that team. I mean, really, that's what really comes down to. Jared Allen deserves it, but this seems like the other 3 will be locked in. Garland keeps doing it. I thought this was just an emotional win for the team because it's easy to see this as a trap game, for sure. We saw what happened after the NBA Cup to the Milwaukee Bucks, and they just weren't all there. But Garland said, all right, I'm putting the team on my back. 9 assists as well. This is his best season. This is his most efficient season, 63.6%. From true shooting. So if the All-Star reserve coaches also like true shooting, I mean, this is a really good stat, really good production from Garland. Yeah, it was odd. I thought earlier in the season it'd be Allen, Mobley, and Mitchell, but now it's Garland, Mobley, and Mitchell with Allen. Will he be on the outside looking in? It'd be so sad.
I saw somebody in the stream team before we went live was saying, get out of here with these 4 Cavaliers as All-Star nonsense. The Celtics were juggernauts last year and they only got 2. Okay, to some extent fair, but then I'm like, hold on. The Celtics had twice as many losses at this point of the season last year. I mean, this is crazy. I just said it's the 5th best record ever to start a season through 37 games. So that's different that the Cavs are sort of that clear, and maybe why the Celtics only ultimately got their 2 stars there in Tatum and Brown. And there was a swelling of support, Trey, for Derek White at the time and stuff like that. But this is just they might have 4 or 5 losses by the time they're filling up this ballot. You sort of 3 is a lock, 4 is probably at that point.
Yeah. I mean, four's a lot of all-stars, man. The Bulls never
You
had
said
four
the Hawks did it.
all-stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That was a down season in the NBA. And, you might say it's a down season in the Eastern Conference. No Embiid. He ain't going to make the all-star team. Maybe he sneaks in, but I don't think Embiid is an all-star. Chris Middleton, a guy who was a former all-star, he ain't going to make it. 2 Knicks will definitely be in Towns and Brunson. It'll all be a math game for sure. And I wouldn't be surprised if Allen gets added late as like an injury replacement if we see those sort of things happen come February. But I think 3 is definitely reasonable. The Cavs are one of the best stories in the league right now, and they're dominating their conference.
Yeah.
Was
Now
it
we
the Pistons after they won the championship that year they had the 4.
They've had 4 before for sure. Yeah.
Also a down Eastern Conference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say with the new format here in this All-Star game, the little mini tournament, and it's going to be drafted, like it'd be fun in a weird way if all the Cavaliers like got put on one team. Maybe that's our answer to making a competitive All-Star game or these little mini games. If we got all 4 on one team and then 4 other guys, I don't know, could be something fun there. But let's keep it moving because we had a big
can't
dunk.
wait. I'm just excited. Yeah, sorry, I'm chiming in on a big dunk. I just want to see these Cavs shut up everybody who believes that they are the Atlanta Hawks come this postseason. I think they're saving Donovan Mitchell for those moments, for when he can take over. Unlike what Jeff Teague, Paul Millsap, Al Horford, and Kyle Korver were. Those guys couldn't even win games, frankly, against those Cavs. So at the very least, I hope they have a good series against the Boston
okay.
Celtics.
But the question is, what now constitutes a good postseason run for the Cavs after starting this hot? Like, or what will be a disappointment is the better way to ask it. Like, if they besides losing in the first round, like, do they have to go to the conference finals? They have to go to the finals?
Oh, first they have to go to the conference finals, and they have to have a very good long series with the Celtics for it to be reasonable. They can't get swept by the Hawks, or like the Hawks did against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Well, they can't. It has to be a good one.
There's no LeBron in the Eastern Conference anymore. So they're okay. Let's get to that dunk. Anthony Edwards, huge poster dunk, helped propel the Wolves to the victory over the Magic. A little Anthony on Anthony crime. I know we have the clip here. Edwards just launches himself over Anthony Black, and then he comes down with a glare at the crowd. This was in the third quarter. Huge dunk. It got a great dunk score, Trey, so that was nice to see. They finally got one right. I think it got a 103.5. He was talking about it after the game. He said it's not his best. Oh, hello. Hello to that. Was that Danny?
It's the moving snowman.
Was that a Yeti?
Was that Olaf?
He said it was top 5 in his career. Not the best, though. He still thinks the one against the Jazz was the best. But what do you think, TK, of Ant's dunk?
Anthony Edwards is right. This isn't his best, but it's his best dunk of the season, and he's finally started dunking. He has got 17 dunks throughout this season. 14 came in the first 31 games. He's got 3 in his last 4 games. So shout out to the Boston Celtics for doubling this man, because Anthony Edwards has completely taken over since the double team game where he was complaining, I got to get some shots up. Since then, 36 points per game, 6 rebounds, 5 assists per game, shooting 45 from the field, 54 from 3, and 84 at the line. Timberwolves are 3-1 in those 4 games, mostly because of their defense. They've been playing like a top 5 defense, but Ant has been doing enough offensively to pull them over the line in some of these games. I just got to say, bad business decision from Anthony Black on this one. You can see him. He wants to challenge the dunk. Instead, he turns away. And I think it made it look worse because the photos are pretty bad. He looks like Kyle Korver out there.
Yeah, he's like laughing while he's getting dunked on because he knows what's happening in the moment. So that part was funny. And even Anthony Edwards said, I couldn't even really celebrate in Anthony Black's face because he was laughing too much. So I sort of flexed to the crowd. He almost was like shook by it. But what do you think?
Yeah, that guy's 6'6" or 6'7", and he didn't go try and get it. And in the photos, those curls became untangled, it sure looks like, because Edwards gave it to him. And they make great photos because of all those monstrous curls. And he decided, not going to do it for Edwards. Not his best dunk. We know the one against Utah was better last year. But it's surprising to hear a coach come out the next season or after the game and say that was a signature dunk for Anthony Edwards. Like Chris Finch calling it a signature dunk was a little off to me, but yeah, this is great. It was a pretty easy play where he just passed it to Naz Reid. it was just a handoff, and he came in full bore on that dunk, which was, in the end, gorgeous on a 5 of 19 night for Anthony Edwards. He didn't shoot the ball all that well.
Yeah.
But will we ever talk about it? Absolutely not. We're going to talk about that dunk. And I think just from zooming out, 3 games with Dante DiVincenzo in the starting lineup beside Anthony Edwards has helped him to some degree. You could see, there's just a little bit more tude with Dante DiVincenzo out there. They play well together, and they just have they are the same type of guy. He has started his season slow, obviously, this season. He does that basically every season. The last 3 seasons, he started kind of slow. It was a terrible trade for him to be moved, and they don't make the trade without him in the line as part of it. I don't think there's a question that if he's not a part of it, they don't make this trade. But yeah, it's looking good for them, obviously. And the other guy, Jaden McDaniels, is another support guy who's looked alive. He didn't have a good game offensively, but they just need him to do something out there. And usually when he doesn't have a good game offensively, he ain't doing a heck of a lot. But he had 8 boards. Actually, their front line of Gobert, Randall, and McDaniels had 30 boards combined. So that was a big performance for them. In total, they are starting to look a little bit better with DiVincenzo beside him.
Yeah, I love Ant's ability, just to speak about the dunk a little bit more, his ability to turn into the Air Jordan logo when he dunks, because he does like the perfect legs spread out and obviously the extension with the one arm. But I think he has it right. Maybe top 5, but not top 1. I mean, the one on Watanabe back in the day was better than this one and more vicious. And a part of it was, like Trey said, it's like Anthony Black sort of like gives up halfway, or not even halfway, like a quarter of the way. He's like, nope, I'm cowering and gonna laugh at this, but still gets on the poster.
He loaded up his legs and he's like, I'm not going to be able to jump with this guy, so I'll just hang out here. And hilarious reaction from Ant because he wanted to trash talk him, but he's like, what am I supposed to say?
Yeah, the kid's smiling in my face. Yeah.
The crowd was buzzing too. You could hear everybody.
Oh,
they loved it as a road game. They are going to remember that dunk as fans of another team.
One more game to touch on here before we get to the All-Star voting returns. Sengun, monster. Trey, 32 and 14. Jalen Green's cooking right now. He's had one of his little hot streaks where he's really scoring the ball well. And the Rockets beat the Grizzlies 119-115 in Ja Morant's return. So that was good for Memphis, but they get the L.
Yeah, they get the L, and maybe it's a little bit on Taylor Jenkins calling a timeout as Desmond Bane rises up for the game-tying three-pointer with 3.8 seconds left. Ball goes in. Unfortunately, the timeout came before he got the shot off, so it ends up being a loss because did they even get a shot up on that possession? They didn't make it at the very least, but good stuff, I thought, from Sengun. The guy was in his bag. So many tricky finishes with both hands, right and left. Apparently, his bag also includes a move where he catches the ball at the free throw line, jab steps, and then banks one in from straight on. Never looks good to bank in a shot from straight on, but I thought it was cool to see him taking on Zach Edey, playing there for the Grizzlies. Obviously, Sengun gives up a lot of size to Edey, a massive dude out there, but Sengun just understands how to attack him. He looked really, really good, 32 and 14 in this one, like you said. And then Jalen Green, 27 points on 21 shots. Has not been a great season for him, but he's definitely getting better. All of his numbers improved in December, and now in January, it's only 5 games, but 28 points per game, 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 48 from the field, 41 from 3, making his free throws as well. The consistency is obviously an issue for Jalen Green, but when he's flowing, he looks good.
Yeah, like last season, what was that March where he couldn't miss, right?
Yeah,
he went on that little run. And Tass, we see the Rockets now win their 3rd straight and sort of solidify a little bit their hold on second place in the Western Conference. They moved 1.5 games ahead of Memphis now.
This team that didn't make the playoffs last year would be a huge accomplishment if they finished top 4, period. The 5th place team is, I think, 3.5 back, which, they haven't distanced themselves enough, but they are sure making every night a tough time to play them. And you can see every single game, they play extremely hard defensively. The question about them is always clutch time. Can they come through with those guys? Can they find it? And Grizzlies missed a bunch of threes towards the end. They did just clank some shots. It was Luke Kennard just missed threes, and Morant just not efficient in his return. So there's always that question with the Houston Rockets. But as of right now, they look great. And my other question is, will Alperen Sengun ever have a worse free throw shooting night than this one? It was 7 of 15 from free throw land. They could have destroyed the Memphis Grizzlies if he just hit some free throws, because he's a really good free throw shooter, but he looked great. The team, again, if they finish, I know 4th is, it's kind of a reach for this Houston Rockets team to some degree. If they make, I just say that because if they make the playoffs, it's an accomplishment. But I mean, it's not too far off, especially with this tough West. Like they could finish top 4.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's get to some all-star votes. Giannis, Jokic continue to lead the Eastern and Western conferences in the second fan returns of that voting. Greek Freak, Joker, SGA, and LaMelo Ball remain the leaders at their respective position groups. The Warriors' Steph Curry has jumped Luka to move into second place among West guards. Any takeaways here, Trey, with our second fan returns?
I think today is a 3-vote day. Am I right, Skeets?
That's
Get
right.
your votes in right now. And if I'm a New York Knicks fan, I'm going hard for Jalen Brunson today. He's only 161.5 thousand votes behind Damian Lillard. I would have him personally ahead of Lillard on my ranking of All-Stars, but the Knicks have a top 5 vote getter in both the front court and in the backcourt.
Mm-hmm.
So, we've kind of been hard on them the past couple of years. Can you decide between Brunson and Randall for your all-star? Well, now they got 2 guys in Brunson and Towns who are both a lock. I don't know, not a ton of takeaways from this one. I think Trae Young should get more votes, but there's a lot of decent Eastern Conference guards, and LaMelo has kind of eaten up the highlight spotlight, I do believe. But it's just weird to be picking 10 starters when we're dividing them into 3 teams. So I was like, should we have 9 starters or should we have 12 starters? Which is it? Not 10. Doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. I'm wondering like how this is even going to go down in like the basketball reference pages. Like we're going to have 15 starters.
Yeah,
we are. But it will be only the 10 starters being selected. And I assume they'll have to be drafted first by Chuck and Kenny and Chuck. Yeah, I think so too. Anyway, it's a weird little wrinkle, but do you have any takeaways, Taz?
Well, LaMelo Ball being first among Eastern Conference guards has to be the first time a player will be voted first but not make the All-Star team. It has to be the first time in history. It's highly unlikely that he's going to make the All-Star team. We're talking about 4 Cavs here. It's a team that just keeps losing games. I know they were able to beat the Phoenix Suns the other day and snap their 10-game losing streak where they lost for a month straight. But it's an interesting one. I don't think he makes it.
I mean, I hear you. I don't think the media is going to have him high wherever they decide to put him. Players is a fascinating question. Does he get the LiAngelo Ball tweaker bump? In the Ball name being in the news? I wonder.
Oh, yeah.
But
you know what the tweaker needs? It just needs a little this. Just that sound.
So the podcast listener, Cass is pressing a button on his, I guess,
my earmuffs.
Earmuffs, yeah.
Yeah, these rabbit earmuffs. This would be perfect. Give me
you
a
are
spot.
tweaking with those,
Give me a spot. Yeah, like in tweaker. I'll just be sitting in the back. Beep, 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 beep. It's a great little tune. You think it's catchy now?
With that,
LiAngelo, wait till this is added.
I have one interesting thought from the All-Star votes, or where we're at right now. This is from Kurt Helen at NBC Sports. He tweeted this yesterday. Could LeBron's streak of All-Star starts end at 20? Because he's currently 3rd in the West front court fan voting. But would the players or the media and their votes, could they bump, let's say, 4th place Victor Wembanyama ahead of LeBron for a starting front court spot? I think that's interesting. I would add to that, it almost feels like maybe it's more likely that LeBron and Wemby jump Kevin Durant with the lull the Suns are in, sort of he missed some time. I think that's in play too. But, obviously he's got the streak of 20. TK, would you bank on LeBron? Well, and get rid of like the 3rd team aspect of it all. Do you think LeBron will start once again for the 21st straight season?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, the guy's a legend. How are you going to not start him, bring him off the bench? They tried to do that with Michael Jordan, his last All-Star game, and then everybody said, Vince Carter, sit down, buddy.
Right,
Michael Jordan is starting this one, so I think that'll happen, just like I think Steph Curry should start this All-Star game that's in the Chase Center in San Francisco. And honestly, if LaMelo Ball wins the fan vote in the Eastern Conference, even if the coaches and media don't want him, he should be an all-star. The guy's a 30-point-per-game player who's obviously a huge hit with fans. So I think he should make it, even if he doesn't rank highly on these other lists.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. That's fair.
And we're almost in a new era of players because, as you said, Wemby is 4th. chasing LeBron and Durant. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, for the first time, is going to win a voting spot here because he was second last year amongst guards. Now he's first. He's 400,000 ahead of Stephen Curry.
Right.
It just feels odd because it is Stephen Curry. Obviously, his team ain't even close to what OKC is doing. It just feels weird that Shai is beating him. And I guess he, along with LaMelo, I guess has a social media presence with his skims. I don't know what it is, but he's going to win. And his first time as an all-star vote in OKC, a small market.
The next fan voting update be shared next Thursday.
Oh, just a little chat. I got a little
oh my God.
cat in front of the camera.
There's a lot going on at home, eh, Tess?
There is a lot going on. This cat is so curious.
Oh, the cat.
Oh, hey, Sushi.
Oh, this is interesting. The camera's actually inside.
there you
It
go.
looks like okay. There we go. Your cat's gone. Nice.
Carl
Wow.
Anthony. She wants Carl Anthony Towns on.
That's her vote. That's her vote. Voting concludes on Monday, January 20th. So get your votes in for the starters, and then TNT reveals the NBA All-Star Game starters on January 23rd. All right, let's get to worst of the week.
Ladies and gentlemen, the worst of the week.
First nominee here is, unfortunately, a referee because he angered Nikola Jokic, who's standing at the free throw line, just waiting for the ball to be passed to him. And as Mark Lindsay passed it to him, Nikola Jokic grabbed it and was so angry. Hey, Mark, hey, Mark, hey, Mark. What looks to be him also saying, what the fuck is that? As he flicked it back to Mark Lindsay. He didn't like the way Mark Lindsay gave him the flick that you often see at a pickup.
It's my fault.
Yeah, he did say it, my fault. I apologize. As he gave it back to him properly, he did pass it to him. It did land in Jokic's hands, although he just didn't like the flick, like you again, as you see when you're playing pickup. My question to you guys: do you think, because people were upset at Jokic and how he gave it back to Mark Lindsay, do you think Jokic should be hit up with a delay of game?
Wow.
Because. I don't.
No,
I think it's totally fine that he was upset with the pass from Mark Lindsay.
He was like more upset than he probably needed to be. Like he probably could have just, hit it back and say, okay, let's do that again. But these repetition is everything at the free throw line. And he wants to go through his routine and get the ball, as close as possible to the exact same way every single time. I get the reasoning.
I mean, he caught it at his waist. It's
Nah,
not like
but Cass,
he had to
no.
dive out and catch it.
No, man, we used to do free throw contests all the time. My buddy Brody, you guys know Brody. He was a machine at the line. The guy is just one of these guys that could hit 95 out of 100 free throws. Saw it with my own eyes all the time.
Okay.
But if we had free throw contests, when you're rebounding for the guy, you want to screw him up. You just, throw it a little differently. You slow it down. You put it to the left. You put it to the other hand.
Slam it on the line. Make this one.
You just mess with him a little bit just to get him out of that robotic routine. Not that the referee shouldn't be doing that, but that's my point. Yeah. That's why Jokic is pissed.
I mean, it was right in the basket.
Yeah, he didn't throw it at his feet. You're right.
That was a great one.
Very funny.
Next one, also involving referees. They didn't call a double dribble or a travel on Kyle Kuzma when a discontinuation could have easily been called. And you can say, if you're a referee, okay, maybe he just tapped it down and it wasn't an actual dribble at first, but then he travels. So you got to call one or the other. One of the two. I mean, that's kind of unprecedented where you see two bad calls in a row.
What's even crazier is that the last 2-minute report said this was a correct no call.
Oh,
whoa!
Kuzma bats the pass from Kispert, which is not considered a dribble. Looked like a dribble. He then brings both hands to the ball and legally starts to dribble. I guess it just depends on if you really think he batted that pass, first of all. Because it looks like he catches it and starts dribbling.
Yeah, we got to see this again. Okay.
Here's the bat. Is that a bat?
I was fine with that, but then this is a trap. That's the
gather, they say.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
That's what they're saying.
It looked like the second hand went on the ball, and then he continued to walk.
It sure did. People do say it wasn't a travel because he kind of had a little bit of a bobble there. He didn't actually catch the ball. Yeah, give me a break. Anyway, Nick Nurse was very upset. I cut Nick Nurse out of that highlight because I've never seen Nick Nurse more mad. Last one here. We talked about Kenrich Williams and his haircut and the back of his hair, how he kind of separates the bottom of his hair. It looks kind of like an island down there. It's in the shape of, a surfboard down there. It's an odd one, maybe a baguette. But honestly, I like the hair. This is sort of a best of the week because I just liked what people were calling it. The nicknames from people: the speed bump, according to the Bro Smith; mustache neck, according to Graham Milano; mud flaps, from Robert MacArthur. I love mud flaps. Mini mullet mud flap from Hoops Distillery. The CPAP too tight line because the CPAP mask. That's a very good one. From C. Godby. Or the Oklahoma Panhandle, according to Matt Johnson. Afro divided. That's good. From Tony Sellers. Or Sean GMC thinks the proper term is a drop shag for this haircut.
Yeah, that shag. That was the word I was trying to think of yesterday or the other day when this came up. Yeah.
And last one, looks like a bloated exclamation point from Roberto Aguilar. It does. That's a good one. One of those weird emojis of an exclamation point. Yeah. So thanks to everybody. I just wanted, it was more of a best of the week. His hair looks good. All looks good. Also, just the worst of the week nominee I didn't want to include. I did say that Jaylen Brown, when he spilled that drink in Denver, that was a beer with ice in it. There's no chance that was a beer. Looking back, everybody, our man John Schumann was on the chat. How could somebody have ice in beer? It wasn't. It's one of those silver cups at a stadium where cocktails are served. So no beer. My mistake. It was ice in a cocktail.
Okay. You got a lot of ice behind you if you want to make something.
It's raining out. It's literally raining out here.
Yeah. Oh, no, that's bad.
Yeah. I'm glad nobody drove today for sure.
Yeah,
now.
Exactly.
Because it's going to get real messy. All right, so let's hear your worst of the week winner. Who would you pick, Trey, of those three? I guess two more than three, but who would you pick?
I think I would pick Kuzma getting away with whatever he got away with. I don't know. Maybe I give it to the league for saying that was the right call.
Yeah. I mean, I guess in a weird way, we're giving it to the referees this week because either you're upset with how Mark Davis gave the ball to Jokic or them blowing that travel, what appeared to be a travel by Kuzma. So there you go.
Yep.
All right. Let's talk a little bit about the NBA trade deadline. It's less than a month away. All eyes definitely centered on whether the Miami Heat are going to trade Jimmy Butler. At this point, we're just waiting for an emergency podcast. That's where we're at with that. A lot of other notable players could be moved. We've talked about a lot of them. Brandon Ingram, one of the Bulls players in Zach LaVine or Vucevic, Kuminga, maybe Wiggins on the Warriors. Cam Johnson's name is hot right now. Will somebody pony up a first-round pick for Cam Johnson? We've talked a lot about these guys already, and we're only going to continue to do so as we lead up to the February 6th deadline. So instead, I've got three lesser-known names who I think could be traded. And I agree with ESPN insiders Kevin Pelton, Bobby Marks, who also hypothesized, hey, maybe these are names that could be on the move. And I'm interested to hear everybody's thoughts. You guys here, and obviously everybody in the chat and the podcast listeners. So first one on their list, again, this is Pelton and Bobby Marks. And this one sort of surprised me a little bit with how well he's played at times. And that is Magic guard Cole Anthony. And I show here on the graphic how many years he has left on his deal, how much money remaining. So 2 more years after this year, about $26.2 million remaining. Here's their thinking. The Magic rank last in the league in three-point shooting. Could make sense to maybe try and get some better shooting on your roster. And Cole Anthony has found it hard to crack the rotation this year. He's averaging the 4th fewest minutes among all players on that team. He's averaging career lows in points and field goal percentage. Now, again, I thought this one was weird because recency bias, you're like, hold on. Cole Anthony went for 35 in a win against the Heat before Christmas. He just went for 24 points in a nice win in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks. They're obviously shorthanded a bunch of star players. He's picked his spots. But Bobby Marks proposes, Trey, Cole Anthony and 2 seconds for someone like Jazz guard Jordan Clarkson, thinking that would help maybe the Magic much needed perimeter shooting. And Clarkson makes about the same as Cole. He's only got 1 year left on his deal. So I don't know. Were you surprised that Cole Anthony would maybe be moved? Does it make sense for the Magic to get more shooting? What's your takeaway?
Well, it definitely makes sense for the Magic to get more shooting, but I think part of the reason Cole Anthony hasn't really cracked their rotation this year is because he's not good enough to crack their rotation. But He's a great vibes guy, and I think that is more value for the Orlando Magic, and his ability to be kind of like an emergency creator, which is what he's been for him this year, I think is kind of important. I can't see a team really giving up any value for Cole Anthony, and I think that the Magic would probably rather have a guy who has been in their system than a Jordan Clarkson, who's kind of fallen off, if we're being honest. He's not playing all that well, and he hasn't played defense since he got to Utah because they just don't play defense. So I don't necessarily see the fit there. I would imagine Cole stays on the Magic.
Tass, what do you think?
I think it does make sense for a couple reasons. I think first thing is he's got a longer term deal than Jordan Clarkson. Mm-hmm. The Magic have to pay their guys as their extensions kick in. And I think they just want to move on from Cole Anthony's money because they moved on from Markelle Fultz before the season because they were comfortable with saying Jalen Suggs is our starter. Anthony Black is our second string player. And Cole Anthony strictly just hasn't been playing all that much. Yeah. He's been bumped in because of the injuries. Mm-hmm. And he's been playing fine. He is a great locker room guy. No doubt. He sits in post-game press conferences, whether he has a good game or not, and is perfect for that. And I think he's solidifying his role in this league as he gets a little bit older. That's what he's going to be. So I think it does make sense. Jordan Clarkson ain't playing all that well. I think it's really the real value from the Magic is cut some money off after the following year. So if it's an expiring deal that they would trade it for, I think that would also make sense. But Cole Anthony has helped to some degree because Anthony Black is a young 20-year-old backup point guard. I think he's turned 21 in a couple of weeks, but he hasn't grown to help them in a playoff series. Let's say they get to the postseason. Cole Anthony would be nice to have just around for that.
We will see. All right, next name on their list. This one close to home for us Raptors fans, at least, and I think it's interesting, and I think teams should be interested. Raptors trade candidate Chris Boucher. So he's got the expiring deal there. It's about $11 million, so nothing crazy. Boucher's length, ability to guard multiple positions could be a value to playoff teams is probably what we're looking at here. He's averaging about 10 points per game in limited minutes, 17 minutes per game, a little bit more than that. That's only a tad bit more than the playing time he got last season when he was like really in the doghouse and barely played at all. And this is good timing. He had a great game last night. I know the Cavs beat the Raptors, but he went for 23 and 12 in 27 minutes, and he was hitting the three ball last night. He's a little streaky when it comes to that. But Tass, do you think at least a team should talk themselves in? We're not talking about a starter here, but the big guy that can hit threes and defend a couple positions to maybe call up the Raps and see what it would take to get Chris Boucher.
This is the annual question with Chris Boucher, and it comes to free agency as well. Is Chris Boucher going to grow into a player that can contribute on a team? And I think only if a team is looking just for an injury replacement, just somebody to help out just in case. It's a just in case. Yeah. That's what it is with Chris Boucher. He hasn't had an incredible season. There's times where he doesn't even play for Darko Rajakovic. And, he comes off, he's playing well right here, right now, as the trade deadline gets a little bit closer. But really it is just not so much you're going to be our 8th man, but more like you're going to be our 13th man if somebody really wants to deal for him.
What do you think, Trey?
Yeah, I think Tass is exactly right. If the Raptors can trade him today after going for 23 points and 12 rebounds, they should do it because Boucher's just a guy. Like, he's just a bench player. He's a 33% stretch big that doesn't rebound. Doesn't really add up to me as a guy that anybody would do some sort of value with. You look at the contracts that are like kind of similar values to him. It would require the Raptors taking on money after this season, which I don't think they want to do. Boucher is expiring, but, maybe the Grizzlies would be interested. Throw in a second-round pick with Luke Kennard and get the deal done. Right. Warriors, if they think that Boucher can do anything, could send out Gary Payton II, his expiring in a second-rounder. But I don't know. I don't think Boucher is going to be all that highly desired around the league.
There would be difficulty in getting him to this team, but I could see him in Budenholzer's system as a guy that does like to stretch the floor and can shoot. You're right, Trey. He's not as good as three-point shooter as like Brook Lopez was back in the day, but he's streaky. We saw it last night. He hit 5. I could see him in a bench role there, but I'm not sure how you get him to Phoenix. But a name to watch, obviously Bruce Brown as well is a likely trade candidate if teams are convinced he can come back and give you something after not playing much this season at all because of the injury. Final name. This one's fun because they're a good team. Rockets trade candidate Cam Whitmore. Now, very little on his deal. He's got 2 years remaining, but only like $9 million. Pelton wrote that the Rockets, they're obviously battling here for home court advantage, and a blockbuster trade seems unlikely because like things are working. When are you going to mess with it too much? But perhaps they would consider moving on from Cam Whitmore to a team in more need of young talent, right? And he's playing well, or he was from like Christmas to New Year's. He averaged like 15
That's a week
points per game. Yep.
That's a week, Skeets.
That's right. And there's a lot of talk about his on-court body language getting scrutinized right now because he does or has appeared at sometimes to maybe be frustrated with his reduced role. Udoka was asked about it. He thinks people are making this out to be much of nothing. He said, quote, Cam's been good. He's been playing hard. I heard people mentioning body language or whatever. Seems like people are kind of looking for something now. So that's what Udoka thinks.
We are looking for something.
We are looking for something. And I thought I saw something a couple times, if I'm being honest. I don't think it was a stretch. He also had an interview that was a little perplexing. But Trey, I'll start with you. Could or should or will Cam Whitmore be possibly moved here to a team that sees his athleticism and possibly as a piece for them?
I think it's possible. To me, it would be a lot like when the Nuggets traded Bones Highland in his second year. You're like, wait a second. He had moments as a rookie, but he doesn't necessarily fit here. And just like Cam Whitmore, Bones Highland had kind of off-court concerns that were coming to fruition in the locker room, and the team decided it's just not worth having him around. We'll ship him out for basically nothing is what the Nuggets got back for Bones Highland. Cam Whitmore's only 20, so a team could definitely convince themselves that he could grow. He's a great scorer. So I can actually see this happening just from like the Rockets considering it an addition by subtraction kind of thing.
Yeah, the Rockets are incredibly intriguing as we get to the trade deadline because they have so many young guys that can add up to a star. That's the entire talk last year at the trade deadline, or they could just flow with it as OKC has the last few years, and I think that's what Raphael Stone in the front office is thinking. That we've got all these young guys. Let's just play it out, and I think that's what Cam Whitmore should be doing as well. I haven't seen as much of the bad body language as you have, Skeets, with Whitmore, but he doesn't play all the time. Either has Reed Shepherd. I mean, Reed Shepherd's played 11 minutes a game in this season, if we're talking guard/wing players, but the minutes that are taken from them are guys who are playing incredibly well throughout the entire roster. They just have so many young guys, and Tari Eason ahead of them, and then Amen Thompson. I mean, they just have too many to really play all of them. Mm-hmm. But at some point, I don't think it's now for him or Reed Shepherd, but those two guys are the two guys that you can see at some point in their career. Reed's a rookie, and this is a second-year player, so I still think it probably waits till next year, but yeah, at some point he's got to be.
It seems like it all depends on his attitude. Like if he is a disruption in the locker room and he is complaining and whining about minutes, I think it's very likely they're like, this is not worth the headache. We'll get something back, be it picks or whatever. And he's good. He's really good. And I could see that's why other teams, a lot of bad teams in this league could look at him and go, yeah, he could be a building block for us. We'll give it a go. Give him an opportunity. Maybe like that fixes everything. So I thought that was an interesting one. Thanks there to Pelton and Marks. Just included those three, but great article. They had one for every team for the most part. So good stuff. All right, let's get to some 5-Star Friday reviews.
Oh, 5-Star Friday. One of the first Fridays of every month. We'll read 5 of your 5-star reviews from Apple Podcast because it makes us feel good and it helps us with the podcast. Yeah. So let's start with number 1. Location on bus writes in. On December 6th, y'all said you would tell me where AO came from if I shared my location on the bus. Sadly, it's not a double-decker bus, but it has speakers that play music. Pretty cool, right? I always sit next to the emergency exit window because it's slightly open, so when you put your head on it, the cold air blows into your face.
Was this written by a dog?
Where are my dogs at? They ask, what's your favorite bus location? I don't have one. Personally, a favorite bus location. I guess close to the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be my
Ideal.
my number one prerequisite. But where does AO come from? A guy named Dave Norman, who I went to college with. I went to college with a guy named Dave Roman and a guy named Dave Norman. But Dave Norman used to always say "Ayo" whenever he would walk into a party.
Oh.
I stole it from him, and I think he stole it from Dodgeball, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't remember
Great
that.
movie.
Nora just told me that somebody's stealing it from you. That I forget who it was. It must be some celebrity person, like on a reality show. That or no, maybe it's like a celebrity cook. Anyway, they are naming their mayo Ao Mayo.
Each one teach one.
Yeah, I mean, I think you should sue, but that's just me.
I'm not a litigious man.
Okay.
Skeets, I have to use my lawyer for other things. Our next review, the LeBron of podcasts. This one comes from Joshua, who says, this podcast is like the LeBron of NBA podcasts. Been around forever, but it keeps getting better. Look forward to episodes every day. Thanks.
Thank you, Joshua.
Just straight up thanks.
Hopefully we
Very
can start
respectful.
the All-Star game.
Yeah, exactly right. We're still waiting for our first appearance, but nonetheless, our next review, Winterland 73, more classic than Winterland 73. This pod helped me re-fall in love with the NBA. I was an NBA sicko in the mid-2000s as a kid, but fell off in my college and early adulthood years in the 2010s. Then in 2022, my formerly sports-averse wife got hired as a graphic designer with the Memphis Grizzlies, and I was back. She's a sicko now too. My media intake and the larger landscape shifted greatly in the years since I was last tapped in. No more sitting and watching hours of ESPN coverage on my parents' dish cable package. I didn't know the best way to engage with the league and its place in pop culture. That is, until I found No Dunks. This podcast is the liberal arts basketball podcast. 3 funny, smart, and media-savvy buds breaking down, celebrating, and critiquing the league, all with an appreciation of the NBA as a piece of pop culture. Looking for advanced stats and Sloan or Fast and Furious references? Then No Dunks is for you. It's been the perfect show for my wife and I as we share and discover a love of basketball together. We both learn and share a lot of larfs every episode.
Wow. What a
nice,
review. That one got me in the feels right there. That's nice. Thank you.
I know there's a couple of great
basketball podcasts. That's good. That's accurate and good.
Yeah, there's a couple of good lines in there that I feel like could serve as the tagline for our podcast. You know, discussing the NBA as a piece of pop culture. I thought that was brilliant.
That is nice.
And Winterland 73 is pretty good. They've got a great They Love Each Other on there if you want to check it out. Deadheads, our next review. Casual to a sicko. Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
While all my friends have stopped watching the NBA due to the common grievances, this podcast has kept me hyped season after season. Loved the starters on NBA TV and was so sad when that ended. I had no idea they also had a podcast until way later. Found No Dunks right after Lee Ellis left, also sad. These guys helped me love the game more than I would on my own. Aside from their great analysis, Skeets, TK, Tass, and super producer JD seemed like guys I would be friends with in real life. This is, in Lee Ellis's voice, a very solid play. 2 thumbs up. Good
Very
stuff.
solid pod.
Very solid pod. Very solid pod. Our final 5-star review. It's called Lifelong Regret. Listening with lifelong regrets in my heart. Saw Trey Kirby outside the United Center after the 2020 All-Star game, and I was so starstruck that I didn't yell, "Ayo," but simply said, "Hey, the starters," and high-fived him. It's the second biggest basketball-related regret of my life, right under the time I forgot to add protein to Dwight Howard's Jamaican Jammer smoothie in the summer of 2008, consequently leading to me cursing myself throughout the 2009 NBA Finals as my beloved Magic fell to the Lakers because just a little more muscle on those ginormous shoulders and or one layup by Courtney Lee could have made the difference. Anyways, I love the pod.
Oh, wow. Those are 2 crazy regrets.
Must have a pretty good life if those are his 2 regrets.
Yeah. It's true. He didn't say AO to you, and he forgot a little ingredient in a smoothie for Dwight
The
Howard.
Jamaican Jammer. Sounds good.
Jamaican Jammer. I'm gonna look that up.
Yeah.
Maybe Dwight Howard had a good juice
That's the
concoction,
secret?
whatever that is.
All right. Great
Thank
reviews.
you.
Yes. Thank you so much to everybody that continues to send those in. They do help us in terms of the ranking, and we really, really appreciate them. All right. Our pick'em game tonight, Tass. I can't win right now. I'm 1-4. You're cooking. You're going to be inside. Don't you worry. You're 4-1. We got Trey 2-3 and Esh 3-2. So what's our game?
Well, the Pelicans are going to Philadelphia. Philadelphia is the favorite, 3.5 points. They will have to win by 4 or more. So I was a little surprised that Trey joined me on the Pelican side. I thought this was going to be much like the Cleveland OKC battle where I picked Cleveland. Everybody was going to get on OKC, jump on that banner. But I'm excited that Trey has joined me on the Pels to just cover that thing. Just got to lose by 3 or less. Zion's back, baby. Is that why you're taking him, Trey? Just because it seems like Zion played once, sat once, and is back?
Yeah, he should be playing again. He's off PTO, I think. But yeah, I just have not a lot of confidence in Philadelphia right now.
Agreed. That is simply why I'm taking them as well. Obviously, it's easy to not have faith in the Pelicans either, but they looked so much better with Zion playing, and he isn't on the injury report. I think he's going to play.
Probably. Yeah.
Hey, these two teams, you never know. Maybe Embiid will play. Maybe Zion will play. Let's see.
Yeah. Flip a coin. I hate picking against the home team on a Friday night. Just hate it. I can't
think everybody's there trying to have a good time.
Just exactly.
The weekend.
Right? Yeah. Part of me does. I got to go check the stats to see if that actually comes to fruition. But that's why I'm taking Philly, and so is Ash. So we will see what happens. Okay. Before we go here, Tass, you got some rapid fire questions. We're going to bring JD to answer with TK and myself. What do you got?
First one here. I was watching a basketball game in my living room, and Danielle, my wife, said, "You don't stand for basketball games anymore." It's true. It is true. I used to stand, get a little bit more into it every single time. What is something that has changed about your basketball consumption? Skeets.
Well, let me just say like 3 things, and I think that'll tell you what my answer is here. Final 235, crazy ending. Final 420, wild ending. Final 615, must-see ending. NBA helps us out. With our type of job, we got a lot of games to watch. Can't watch them all. So these cuts at the end, the final 6 minutes, final 4 minutes, are very helpful for doing this show at times. If you didn't see a game and you want to see how it all broke down at the end, but you want the real, basically uncut version of it. So that part's different than when we started this. That didn't exist at all. It was like,
it's good.
I don't know. Yeah, it's very helpful, again, for a show that does like a lot of recaps and stuff like that. So that's my answer.
But is that why people are watching fewer games?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Part of it, yes. Those are the good minutes.
Yeah, exactly. The criticism for a long time was like, you only need to watch the last 2 minutes anyways. And now the NBA is like, hey, here's the last 4 minutes.
2 minutes. Yeah.
Enjoy.
Yeah, you might have to watch a couple ads. That's it. Yeah.
Trey, what's changed about your consumption?
Well, speaking of ads, I watch a lot more commercials on TV now. In the streaming era, I feel like I'm watching commercials all the time because it's such a hassle to flip over to another app, find the stream you want to watch, and then watch that stream. So I'm just sitting through No Flex Zone or whatever the new Wingstop commercial is that they started. They do have a new song out, so that's good. But I feel like they've suckered me in. Like I can't switch, so I'm just going to sit through these stupid ads now. Just like it's 1995 all over again.
Oh, man, yeah. We got bamboozled with all this. Man, go back to just straight up cable television, but everything costs more. It's a pain in the ass, like Trey said. We just get as many ads now. I'm with you on that.
Yeah, with cable TV, you had lots of ads too. I mean,
yeah, but it was easy to flip.
But you could change the channel easily.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, I get this. Is true. This is true.
The ads were way better as well, like way better.
Wow.
Back in the day.
You're probably right.
I'm just saying. They're just better.
What's your how? Like what do you mean?
All I see is like drug companies and just
betting ads,
boring ass betting ads. They're so boring. Like
that's a good point.
So
that's America. With the drug ads specifically. I remember when I lived in Canada and I didn't have to see Bob and Cindy walking on their beach as they tell you about all the side effects what a drug can do to you.
I know.
Very.
It's weird to watch a commercial these days that doesn't have the word diarrhea in it. You know what I mean?
All right. JD, what's changed about your basketball consumption? Which
Oh,
is
not
very much different,
to be
than
honest. Not much. I watch more. You guys hit the highlights. I just dip in live. You know what I mean? Like hit the league pass and just what's happening in this Hornets Bulls random game on a Tuesday night, and I'll watch the third quarter. And there's no you're just watching like the in arena shenanigans.
That's
which
great.
are great. But the biggest change for me is that I watch most of it on my iPad now because my goddamn kid is addicted to Call of Duty and he dominates the TV, and I have no say in my house of what I watch. I mean, I remember my dad, when he walked into the living room, I would get out of his chair and hand him the remote. Like automatically.
Yeah.
Now I'm like I'm with Hazel in the corner of the couch going, maybe I'll watch my iPad. What's become of us?
Can I watch on my phone, boys?
Yeah, exactly.
No, you're going to kill the Wi-Fi.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of others that don't watch basketball all that much, my wife doesn't watch basketball. So when she learned of the G League free throw rule and how it's different than the NBA rule, and had this visceral reaction where she was disgusted. How do they do that? Why do they have 2 points be given to you for one shot? I was surprised. I was very shocked. When did you have an unexpected visceral reaction, Skeets?
Anytime I'm driving here in Atlanta or anywhere for that matter, and either the car has no headlights on when it's definitely dark out, or the opposite when they have these goddamn blinding headlights. I curse it every time. I can't stand it. I can't see. I know I'm not alone in this. I don't know what's going on with these headlights. Is it just like the high intensity LED highlights in some of these cars now? The fact that they're like so high on trucks and, SUVs and stuff like that. I don't know what it is. I hate it.
I'm happy to hear you say this because I thought it was just me.
No.
It's like high beams in your face all the time.
Yeah. It feels more dangerous.
Yeah.
I'd almost rather them not have their headlights on.
You sound like Jared Allen making his first playoff appearance. The lights are too bright.
The lights are too bright, man.
They are, man. The LEDs are ridiculous.
They're ridiculous. We need to fix this. So
They are super
I have
bright.
a visceral reaction every time.
Yeah, Sean McCabe here in the stream team is saying Xenon headlights are just terrible. They're strictly brighter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just try not to look at them.
But
That helps.
People say I'm not staring at them, but they're so bright. It's like it's in my line of vision. It's like, yeah, totally.
Yeah. Oh, they'll get you from the rear view mirror too. That's the worst. They just sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Trey, when's your unexpected visceral reaction?
I was young, probably second to fourth grade or something like that, and it was school lunch. I was drinking a chocolate milk, and then like the lunch attendant or whatever stood up and was like, unfortunately, we've just discovered that some of the chocolate milk is expired. And I just immediately started throwing up, just started puking everywhere. I didn't check my milk or anything to see if it was expired. I don't remember it tasting weird or anything. I just know that they said this is expired, and within seconds, vomiting everywhere, just all onto my tray, pure chocolate, of course. I'll still drink chocolate milk, but I'll never forget it.
Yeah, big mistake. Big mistake by the lunchroom. They should have just gone to every table and just throw them out as fast as possible. Because kids, anybody has that reaction, right? Like you probably puked, just cause.
Yeah, just cause I told you might want to start puking now. For the most part, they incepted the idea of throwing up into my head. I was like, I gotta do it.
Yeah.
Exactly. JD, when's your visceral reaction? You're unexpected.
It's not unexpected, but anytime anything comes near my belly button, visceral, guttural, I can't handle it. I can't. Wow. Can't have it touched. I can't even the mere suggestion that somebody would stick their finger in my belly button or anything. Like I can't do it. I can't.
Oh, you made me think of a better answer for this too. Like you said, like somebody just saying something and it puts that visual in your head and it makes you cringe. Anyone Like, oh my God, I'm literally tingling right now just thinking about it. People that like chew on a towel or like put a towel in their mouth. Oh my God. Oh, I hate it. So that
Gross.
That is
It
weird.
is gross.
JD, are you able to clean your own belly button?
Yeah, I do have a technique. I take a washcloth and I just sort of like, the surface area is big enough with my hand, and I just sort of dig deep. But yeah,
So it's an innie. It's an
innie. Yeah,
yeah. We've worked together
innie.
and been to Las Vegas 6 billion times. I should know whether you have an innie or an outie, but it's an innie.
Yeah, it is.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I hear you.
It's
Great
a
stuff.
challenge. It's yeah. What do you guys just dig around in there? Like it's
you don't need to dig around in there. It doesn't take long.
I'm raw dogging it for sure.
I'm viscerally reacting.
The mere suggestion.
Gross.
Yeah, I'm with you, and I'm with you too, Skeets. I don't like towel chewing.
Oh.
I flash back to my wisdom teeth being taken out and having the cotton swab type things in your mouth. Yeah, so that's the worst. Last question. My wife says I'm boring because all I talk about is basketball and her, like I just did, and she's right. I'm boring. What makes you boring, Skeets?
My sandwiches. Yeah.
Okay.
My flavor profile, my construction. I make boring sandwiches and I like them. But it angers Nora. It angers my wife.
What you're saying, like a low amount of ingredients?
Hell yeah. I don't need a lot. I mean, first off, I'm always just going to make a grilled cheese. So
Hey.
that's 3 ingredients if we're counting the butter that goes with the bread and the cheese. But if I'm making a sandwich, I don't need the tomato. I don't need a pickle. I don't need the lettuce. I'm fine with bread and meat.
Bread and meat. You're not even putting a condiment on there?
I mean, I'll generally put a condiment on there, but
Okay.
I don't need to. I think it's because when I grew up, my mom would send me to school with literally just a piece of like salami meat between 2 white pieces of bread.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big like butter margarine guy, so it's like it was a dry ass sandwich, but I didn't mind it. So maybe I'm holding on to that, holding on to my youth. But that's boring. Yeah.
How about a towel sandwich?
Oh,
No? Oh, okay, fine.
Oh, I'm telling you, man. You think I'm joking? Like down my spine shivers. Ugh.
Trey, why are you boring?
Yeah, I recently replaced this pair of gray New Balance 990s with an identical pair of gray New Balance 990s.
Wow.
The exact same shoe.
I can't
But
believe.
it's a great dad shoe.
Yeah.
I just want to eventually, like, I don't know, maybe get a pair every 5 years, and then after 50 years, just have 10 pairs of grayer and grayer shoes.
Nice.
But those dad shoes are worn by kids. Like they wear old people looking shoes, old people looking New Balance.
I think their marketing campaign at one point was dads in Ohio and supermodels in New York wear these shoes.
That's cool.
Yeah, I can't believe it. I can't believe how they've come around, because they used to just be old people, no supermodels.
Yeah.
Like 20 years ago when they were awful shoes. They were for middle-aged people.
Yeah.
There were chunkers that you could just walk in. Now,
Cutting the grass. Yeah.
did you see the combo, New Balance combo, that they've combined a slipper with that type of looking shoe? Like it's a leisure / running shoe.
Slide into it.
It's a loafer and it's a New Balance.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're sold out, or I would have them.
Yeah, they look pretty cool, actually.
Yeah, they're amazing and ridiculous. But they're releasing some more colors this year, allegedly. We'll see.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
JD.
Yeah, it's pickleball. I mean, it's the most boring thing about me. It's the only thing I do outside of this house, aside from getting groceries or whatever. So that's all that's it. Played for 2 hours last night. Killed it. Nobody wants to hear about it. Nobody wants to hear about my conquests on the pickleball court. But that's just who I am.
I
Come on.
enjoyed the clip of you talking on Is This Good about I guess losing to like a bunch of 80-year-olds
Yeah.
with your brother in Canada, but then you got revenge and kicked their
Yeah.
ass. I mean, I did enjoy that.
Yeah. That's what I'm reduced to, just like getting beat by octogenarians and then getting my revenge on them.
Bouncing
there-
back.
What is there a good pickleball podcast? Because
Nah.
No dinks. What happened to it?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it's like we realized this is about pickleball. Nobody cares, man. Nobody cares.
Come on. There's bajillions of people playing pickleball, but they don't care to listen to it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They prefer to play it. What are you gonna
Yeah.
say? Oh, great dinks over here. You know,
That's interesting. Like
Yeah, but there's young-
darts is huge, right? Like it's
Mhm.
massive, obviously, in Europe.
Yeah.
Are there podcasts about darts?
great question.
Like breaking it down? Like I wouldn't think
Yeah.
there would be, but yeah.
I mean, what are you breaking down? Like he hit the target. He
Yeah.
hit the number 25. You know.
Yeah.
It's like-
Yeah, well, there's pickleball circuits, like you talk about the pickleball leagues.
Oh, yeah,
with,
yeah.
with Rachel in
Mhm.
general.
Yeah.
why-
The problem is they have like a Wimbledon size event every goddamn weekend. So
Right.
you can't watch, like it's literally 12 hours a day of pickleball for 4 days straight every weekend. So even the Major League Pickleball podcast gave up. They're like, we can't do this. You know, it's too big. It's too much.
Too much
It's
pickles.
too much. It's too much pickleball.
All right. Well,
Courts are going to be empty here in Atlanta this weekend.
Oh yeah, snow
Unless you're
pickleball.
willing to play through the snow.
Yeah. Well, I got some time booked indoors.
Oh,
So-
Oh yeah, nice.
always
Oh.
working on his game.
Pickleball snob.
The stream team is suggesting, okay, you don't need a full podcast about pickleball, but what about
Mhm.
a segment every once in a while on No Dunks here?
Sure.
You
Sure.
know,
Sure.
that
yeah.
that seems doable.
Bring
about
no
your
dinks back.
Pickleball conquest, yeah. No dinks, like once a month, every 2 weeks,
Sure.
whatever it is. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
a good idea.
Let's do it.
All right, that's rapid fire. Not so rapid, is it? No, but it's a lot of fun. Thanks to everybody for joining us here. Task, good job all week long, standing outside in what was very cold. You're right. It doesn't look as you don't seem like it's this cold out right now. Just rainy, I guess.
No, it was colder outside JD's home, which was nice. This is fun. I'm gonna go play in the snow. I literally am gonna go play in the snow.
Oh yeah, I was gonna ask you. I mean, you guys have obviously young kids. Like, are we sledding today? Or building snowmen, snowball fights? What are we doing here? As for Trey and Tass, yeah.
All the sleds are sold out here in Atlanta, and I didn't move from Toronto with snow gear. Really,
You didn't bring a
Right.
toboggan?
no, to go in the grass.
A GT Rad Racer or whatever they were called. What were they called?
Oh, yeah.
GT Racer, I guess.
Yeah.
We left all the girls' snow gear in Chicago when we came back from the Christmas holiday. We're like, they're not going to need it till next year.
Oh.
Ridiculous.
Actually,
Look at it now.
Roberto Aguilar here in the stream team gave me a great idea. Use a trash lid. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm gonna slide through this snow. After those Clipper Bros come on, I've got a trash can right here.
Okay.
Let's see what
Okay.
happens.
Let's
All right.
go.
Well, we're going to see everybody on Monday. We do have a G League game on Sunday. Hopefully, we see you there. But Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
And here we go. We're hopefully going to see Tass
Here he is.
go sledding. All right.
Just a moment.
All right. Well, he's got the lid.
Yeah, I'm going head first.
He's got a bit of a decline. Oh!
There's no
Not the biggest hill.
No, it's not a hill.
All right. Embrace the weekend, people. Good stuff, fellas. Oh, man.
You could stay